Hi muckers, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. So today we're going to be doing something a little bit different. I wanted to basically come on here and talk about something that I was getting a lot of messages about, and it was Adam. So much has happened within the past year, specifically, on H3, Frenemies, Trisha, different sub-genre dramas that happened, and they were like, I want to know your opinion on it all. And I thought, what better time than now? So it's currently like 6 a.m. and it's Christmas Eve. It's actually 5 a.m. and it's Christmas Eve, and I'm going for my Christmas Eve walk, which I do before everyone kind of wakes up. So I'm back home in Derry, so it's going to be a walking video, but we've still got to talk about the things we've got to talk about. So in terms of H3, one thing that I want to bring up immediately is, yes, so much happened. We're aware. But one thing that I got tagged on Instagram that I was like, oh my god, I can't believe that happened this year, was the AB drama. So if you don't know AB from Teddy Fresh and H3, I don't know why I introduced him from Teddy Fresh. This is still my brain waking up. But earlier in the year, there was a really big drama between Trisha and AB. And the drama in question was that Trisha was calling AB a snake, and that she was just attacking him. And now on this channel, we love AB. We love AB. We think AB is sexy. So we're gonna get that out of the way first. But no, it was a really big scenario that was happening. And I was seeing a bunch of videos that were tagging... Oh, this car is turning in. I was seeing a bunch of videos that were tagging H3 talking about Trisha attacking AB, and kind of talking about the H3 work environment and how they, obviously were defending AB, and that pissed Trisha off even more. And so I was doing a little bit of looking into it this morning, kind of back on the archives of my videos and kind of what was happening during that entire time. And I didn't make many videos on Trisha and AB fighting. And I remember I specifically did that for a reason. And the reason in question was because I thought it was so blown out of proportion from Trisha just trying to get rid of someone who had an opposing view than her, who was there before her on H3. So what happened was, it was whenever H3 and Frenemies were talking about David Dobrik and the Vlog Squad a lot, and AB on one of the H3 podcasts kind of brought up an opposing view of David Dobrik and the Vlog Squad. And it wasn't him, preaching that he loves Ethan, Ethan's views on David, or that he loves Trisha's views on David, or that he loves his own views on David. It was genuinely just that he was trying to give a different point of view on the shitfest that was happening. And looking back on it, I cannot believe that it was the big drama that it was. So Trisha started turning on AB, saying that he was a snake, that he was a sellout, that he didn't believe victims, and it turned into this really big smear campaign against AB. And oh my god, I can believe it happened, like looking back on the timeline with Frenemies. However, I still can't believe that it happened, because it really was Trisha trying to silence anyone who had any different views or point of view of David and the Vlog Squad. So then I looked into kind of where we're at with the Vlog Squad and David Dobrik now. They're back posting their videos. Trisha really isn't talking about them. Ethan really isn't talking about them. And I'm like, was it that serious? Was it that serious that Trisha was genuinely pissed off at AB? Or was it just that she wanted to get rid of him from the start? I'm going to elaborate. I don't think Trisha liked AB from the get-go. And the reason for that was because, in my opinion, AB was one of the members of H3 that was kind of well-versed in the YouTube community. And the reason for him being well-versed in the YouTube community was that he was a part of it and then got hired from H3 because of it. So it's something to... Oh my god, I'm like walking through town and there's like different propagandas about COVID, like written on the walls and stuff. And I'm like, who are these freaks? So anyways, going aside from that, and also I've left dairy for like a year now, and I come back and like every shop is like a CBD shop. Like dairy was never like this. Anyways, so Trisha doesn't talk about David or the Vlog Squad anymore, so it obviously isn't as big of an issue as what it once was for Trisha. Or is it now just that so many people are connecting the dots with what Trisha is saying about David and the Vlog Squad that it makes her story, I'm saying this in the kindest way possible, less reliable? You know, we're seeing so many different vlog clips from those trying times with Trisha, where she said kind of big statements against the Vlog Squad, big statements against David, Jason in particular, and she doesn't talk about it anymore. And the thing that she was accusing AB of and trying to get AB deleted for was kind of what everyone does now, which is just asking questions and just looking a little bit further into it. And I think Trisha was genuinely scared of that in the moment, because she was talking every single day about these people. And I think a really big reason for this was because Frenemies was so big. I don't think Trisha was really keeping track of what she was saying. So for anyone to go against what she was saying, insinuate a different point of view, was probably the scariest thing in the world for someone to do, because the obvious is Trisha isn't keeping track, and she's saying one point of view, but she's telling so many different stories about it. So when someone then is trying to find out more information, however that comes across to Trisha, it sounded like, in Trisha's mind, that they were just not believing the victim. And I briefly touched upon this yesterday, but it was a lot of people have been talking about the fact that they can't believe that now looking back, they believed so many of the things Trisha said. And you know, I get tagged in stuff like that quite a lot, where it's like, I can't believe we were so quick to believe what Trisha was saying about all these different people. And I have a completely different point of view on that, because I think in particular, I don't think we should be normalizing that whenever someone comes forward with their stories, that our immediate thoughts should be not believing them or just immediately looking for proof. You know, we can hear someone's story and hear someone's opinion and hear someone's thoughts without immediately shutting them down. And I feel like if people would have done that to Trisha in the moment, it would have been a much bigger issue. And we're seeing it being very transparent with AB. Literally, I don't think you're understanding how big of a drama this was. And again, because I never talked about it on my channel, there were other channels that talked about it, and that's great for them. But again, I really liked AB, and I thought the full narrative was so stupid that Trisha was painting him in, so I just didn't feel the need to talk about it. And then a lot of people were speculating that H3 were going to fire AB because of this, because of Trisha being so angry and Trisha being so upset. And imagine they did, right? Imagine H3 fired AB because Trisha was so uncomfortable. Trisha was refusing to come into Frenemies. Trisha was refusing to film the show because she was so angry that they would support people that maybe didn't immediately jump to double down believing what she was saying. Especially because I would assume that AB is a fan of David Dobrik. So I just wanted to briefly touch upon that, and I want to know your opinion of it. I haven't really talked about it at all, so I would really, really, really love to hear what you have to say about it, and we can finally catch up on kind of where you're at with it, where I'm at with it. Let me set you up here. So, I'm going to sit down on this cold ass floor, but I just want to sit for some reason. So, oh my goodness. So that is something that I briefly want to touch upon, right? So let me know what your opinion is on Trisha attacking AB. Now moving forward, that happened. It quickly got resolved because Trisha didn't get her way. H3 doubled down in support of AB. Obviously there was nothing really to go against him for, so they didn't really feed into what Trisha wanted. And I think, again, that was whenever the cracks started showing between Trisha and H3, where they didn't completely side with her and Trisha had an issue with it. And again, you can have your opinions on that. A lot of people in the moment were upset with H3 because they weren't, you know, siding with their friend over their other friend, AB. So again, really briefly want to touch upon that. Let me know your opinion on that. And moving forward now, looking back on this year, what the fuck was Frenemies? Frenemies was so toxic. Listen, it was such a great moment on YouTube, specifically for kind of what we do, because it kind of weekly summed up the dramas that we were talking about, and then we had more people's opinions. And I think, yeah, I would say so, that Trisha and Ethan became somewhat of a reliable voice within the community of commentary. And I don't think anyone can really fight back on that, regardless of your opinion. Frenemies was just so big, and it really was the go-to for drama news specifically. And so now, racking my brain, like looking at the different segments, I want to know what stands out to you as like pivotal moments within Frenemies, pivotal moments within H3 and Trisha, because it all happened within the last like year. It all kicked off within the last year. The Jeff Wittig situation happened within the last year, and that was one of the biggest yet. I cannot believe, looking back on that, about the Jeff Wittig situation, and I'm laughing because of how ridiculous that live stream was, where they were basically fighting on air with Jeff, and they didn't even have an issue with Jeff. They were basically fighting with Jeff, or having an argument with Jeff, because Jeff was fighting David's corner. And if we think about that as well, you know, David Dobrik's black, or he's not black, but he's back online. And there was a time whenever he was in complete silence. And I think there were so many creators that's how big the impact of Frenemies was this year, where there were so many creators who would go on breaks because Frenemies would be talking about their stuff. And again, I disagree with a lot of people whenever they kind of criticize Frenemies for being like the sole downfalls of people. I think that's really dramatic, and I think that's also not the angle to take with this, because Frenemies never really did kind of investigative stuff, and I think that's why there was never any issues with Frenemies. They kind of talked about stuff that was already out there, but they were just a really big voice who were doing that. I wanted to show you the Christmas lights, so we're gonna come and sit here. And it's gonna be incredibly fat. Like, look at that. Hold on, let me walk inside this. Isn't this so cute? There's a person there for some reason, early in the morning. And then we have this tree as well. So, the ground is so dirty. Oh, it was a night out last night. I get it, I understand. So, I'm gonna put you here. And I'm gonna sit here. And we're just gonna talk while the road cleaners are slaying, and we love them so much. Underappreciated workers. They're appreciative. Underappreciated workers. So, moving on from that. Oh. Hold on. They're driving through. Hello. Always have to say hello. What's going on? Oh. They're doing little circles. This is so calm. Look at that. Beep, 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 beep. That's so calm. Hold on, maybe we'll have to move. Maybe? Oh, okay, we're gonna move. Oh, they're getting out. We're gonna move. Okay. That was a fail. It was fun for a moment, definitely was, but I'm gonna put you here now. Oh my god, not this all around the world that we're doing here. Okay, so I want to know, looking back, do you think Frenemies was a good thing? Do you? What impact do you think Frenemies had on YouTube? And my most important question, what do you think would be the outcome if Frenemies was still happening right now? So my kind of segue into my last kind of topic on Frenemies is, where would we be at if Trisha and Ethan went around their big explosive last fight differently? because frenemies had so many different fallings out, but they were always coming back the next week. I remember there would be so many different times where they would have a huge fight, Ethan and Trisha's like, I'm never coming back, like, fuck you and your family, fuck all your employees, you'll never see me again. And that would happen on, like, Friday, and then on Monday, new frenemies episode, like, they'd always be back. So the last fight was definitely the one that kind of was the nail in the coffin. But if you think about it, Trisha's wedding happened, and the video happened, and Trisha had so many different, series, like, within the wedding that was content-wise, and it would have been a well-received event had the last fight on Frenemies gone differently. I think that the fight could have happened, and they could have made up, and Trisha would have been in the good books again. I think it really took people getting tired of constant fights on Frenemies to be like, all right, this is it. This is enough. We've had enough. Because I think at a certain stage there was kind of enticing factor about frenemies that it kind of kept you always on your toes. You never knew if they were going to be friends again. You never knew if they were going to be fighting, in love with each, like, you never fucking knew. And you never knew what Moses' relationship was like, because I feel like the entire time that frenemies was happening, the overall opinion of Moses was that Trisha was the loud one, Trisha was in some ways the controlling one, and Moses was just the quiet one. And I think whenever frenemies started unraveling, a lot of people were looking further than just surface level and seeing that there was a common denominator, that a lot of the fights were happening based on Trisha speaking for Moses. Trisha speaking for Moses being upset about something Hila did, or trying to compare Hila and Moses. And I think there was just a lot of rivalry that was happening there, and I think Moses used Trisha as not only a scapegoat for a lot of different things, but as a voice in frenemies to voice out family drama. And I think frenemies never started as that. And, the argument is made by a lot of people that why couldn't they dish their own stuff out on camera whenever they were dishing other people's stuff out there? And I completely disagree with that, because I feel like frenemies' purpose was talking about drama and talking about things that were happening online. And it never was about family drama past it being made. You know what I mean? Like, that's how it was created. Trisha was trying to one-up Ethan and decided to, like, sleep with Moses, and then they started dating, and Trisha thought it would be really funny. And, the first couple episodes focused on their relationship, and then it moved further along, because then Trisha and Ethan kind of got this, like, friendship, like, frenemies, like, literally, like, using that word to describe them. They kind of turned into frenemies. So ironic of a name, but I guess that's how it was said. And it never was about family stuff then. And if you look on the timeline of frenemies, because I was going through and all the episodes are still up, and I also want to know if you think that frenemies episodes should be deleted, because a lot of people are saying that they should be. A lot of people are like, Ethan should be, privating them or whatever, and I want to know your opinion on that. I don't think it's necessary. I mean, if they were if they were to delete all of the frenemies episodes, I don't think any of us would really be affected. I mean, we've watched them. There's clips out there. We've seen it all. But a lot of people are calling for him to remove them, just specifically on the fact that he is so actively not supporting Trisha online. And so a lot of people are, and I can see the argument that if people are recommended frenemies on YouTube and then they kind of think that Ethan and Trisha are friends because there's so many episodes, and if they're watching through them, they'll only get to the end to realize they're actually not friends anymore. And it's kind of like, if you're not supporting her and, frenemies looks like you're actively supporting her. I don't know. I kind of disagree. I don't care if it'll get deleted, and I don't care if it'll stay up. I'm not actively going back and watching frenemies. Is that an unpopular opinion? I'm not actively going back and watching it. And furthermore, the last maybe 10 episodes of frenemies, I barely watched them. I feel like at a certain stage, the toxicness of it just wasn't even funny to watch, because what I was saying about the timeline, it started talking about a little bit of family, and then there was like 40 episodes where it was drama, so it was a drama podcast. And then the last couple episodes, Trisha tried to bring it back to talking about family issues, which was within those gaps in between, the like 40 episodes, Trisha was saying to Ethan that she didn't appreciate Moses being talked about, she didn't appreciate their relationship being talked about, she didn't appreciate family being talked about. So then Ethan grasped that, it won't be talking about that. But then the last couple episodes, Trisha tried to talk about Hila and talk about different issues with Moses. So then brought it back to the familyness that it was. And by the familyness, I mean literally just talking about their family. And imagine how confusing that is. Imagine how confusing it is that Trisha, on the podcast at the start, allowed Ethan to talk about Moses, allowed Ethan to talk about the drama with the family, but then for like the 30 episodes in between said that if he talked about them, like he's crossing a line, he's crossing her boundaries. So then they didn't talk about anything except for drama and news. And then the last couple episodes when they really started falling apart was whenever Trisha wanted to start talking about that again. And I think it was just such a mindfuck. And, you know, you can have your opinions on who the worst one was in Frenemies. I think we're all in mutual agreement. But, I mean, they definitely fed off of each other. And I think that's why it was such a well-received podcast, especially in its peak. So I just think it's a super confusing and wild concept. And I can't believe that it all happened within this year. And I'm like, Muckers, are you... Ooh, the wind is a bit extra. I was like, Muckers, are you okay? Like, we talked about so much to do with them this year that it was constantly go, go, go. And I don't think we ever took a moment to kind of look back and talk about it. So that's why, you know, we're ending off the year now. And I want to kind of know overall where you're at with what has happened on Frenemies this year. What happened on H3? And I think an interesting conversation is that so much, and I believe this, I believe that so much of Frenemies' audience was from Trisha and Ethan being together. It was people watching that maybe have seen a couple Trisha videos, know about her trolling, maybe haven't heard of H3 before, and Trisha made that argument where, you know, she's like, I'm the only one bringing in views. And I completely disagree with that, because you look at Trisha's channel, especially in the peak of Frenemies, and Trisha wasn't getting that many views. H3 was getting consistent views, but then Frenemies was getting millions upon millions. So I really feel like it was both of them together. And I feel like you can agree that two people coming together can be more exciting than two people individually. But with that being said, my point that I want to make is that so many people started watching H3 because they enjoyed the dynamic between Trisha and Ethan. They found the channel through that. But so many people stayed with H3, myself included. And no one really stayed with Trisha. Like, are we noticing that? Like, so fucking many people subscribed to Ethan after Frenemies and stayed with Ethan, watching all the different H3 podcasts, but no one did with Trisha. And I think that says a lot. And I would love to know your opinion on that as well. So, ending off this video, because I could literally talk all day, and if enough of you are loving the conversation, maybe I'll make a part 2 before the end of the year, and we'll go into different topics that they had. Which, by the way, look at this little snowman. Isn't this so camp? So cute. We have the tree, and then we have the other snowman. Hold on, this is so cute. Derry have upped their budget because their Christmas lights last year were so boring, and they got so much backlash for it. People were like, this is the most unfestive thing ever. So they put a lot of money into the budget this year, which is nice to see. And also, Derry now have the gay flag on the ground, which, you know, does so much for the gay community. Literally, like, everyone was like, oh my god, it's so nice to see that they've finally done this, and they've, like, put it here. And I'm like, okay, yeah, it's, like, great that you painted a fucking rainbow on the road, but, I mean, all of the underfunded LGBTQ IA charities who are non-profit would so much rather you have given them direct funding than just painting a fucking flag on the floor. But, I mean, conversation for another day. So, I want to know your opinion. Multiple different questions I've asked you throughout this video. I hope you're here for it. I would love to know your opinion, specifically on the AB thing, because I think it's so bizarre looking back on it. Oh, and the point that I was going to say, and I completely forgot, was the reason that Trisha had an issue with AB in the moment, and why Trisha wouldn't have an issue with AB now, was because Trisha was confident. Trisha had no problem talking about drama, talking about things that have happened to her, or didn't happen, looking back on the timelines. And there was no one really piecing things together. Now, Trisha's in this I don't talk about drama phase, and a lot of people compliment her for that, but that's not something we should be complimenting Trisha for, because the only reason that she's doing that is because she does not want other things to be brought up. Is it any reason that whenever... Hi! Is it any reason that whenever Trisha was getting called out for Moses accusations and different allegations against her, that she stopped talking about drama? Because whenever Trisha would directly talk about drama, whoever Trisha was calling out, there would be the audience of the people she's calling out being like, let's focus on this with you, let's focus on this with Moses. And then there would be people that didn't like Trisha being like, oh yes, let's talk about this. So Trisha stopped talking about drama for that reason. So y'all, let's stop praising people for stop talking about drama and growing. If allegations ever blow over with Moses, Trisha will be back talking about drama again. And you really think that Trisha's gonna not talk about drama all next year? If you do, you're delusional. So I want to know your opinion on all this. We'll talk below. Thank you so much for just walking around the city with me and going on my Christmas Eve walk with me. I love you all so fucking much. And stay festive and stay gorgeous. Bye.